I believe most things in life, I want everything in my life to be relational, to be emotional. I don't want anything to be transactional. Even if I go to Starbucks, I want that to be an emotional connection of some sort, right?
Randy, welcome to the Grow Healthy, Help People podcast from Accordis. Our company, Accordis, we do back office work for nonprofits, and you are leading a nonprofit that's making a difference, Limbs for Life. Tell me where you're
Yes.
located, and then give me a little summary overview of Limbs for Life and what you guys do.
So Limbs for Life is based in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, although we serve people throughout the United States and even throughout the world. We are a nonprofit that provides fully functioning prosthetic devices, lower extremity prosthetics, to individuals who are uninsured or underinsured. Underinsured means they have insurance, but it doesn't cover prosthetics. And so we fund individuals in the United States that are US citizens or individuals that are not US citizens in the United States that are on a permanent resident card. There's just the need is just too great to fund everyone. Outside the US, we provide parts and components to anyone. We don't fund anyone outside the US.
Okay, so there's a number of things you do. So tell me a little bit of your story. You were mentioning it to me earlier before we started recording, a little bit of your story and how you got into this space.
So this has really just been a love and a passion of mine for my whole adult career. I've practiced physical therapy for about 35 years. Limbs for Life started 30 years ago by a world-renowned prosthetist in Oklahoma City, John Sabelich, who wanted to provide an avenue for people that were uninsured to still be able to gain mobility back. I was on the board for about 10 years, very passionate about this work and about the individuals that are uh, suffering limb difference. And so after another 15 years goes by, the former executive director was retiring, and it would just, the worlds collided for me to come in and take over. And it's just been an incredible blessing for me, for my family, that, I just wake up every morning and go, this is exciting work. It's very difficult. It's very heartwarming, but it is difficult because these people have had devastating injuries.
Yeah, I would imagine that in the prosthetic world, or actually, I'll ask you the question. Do most people already have a prosthetic limb and they're needing to have a modification or an enhancement, or are many people going from having nothing to having their first prosthetic?
Most of them are coming to us without their first prosthetic. They've either lost a leg due to diabetes or a vascular issue, trauma, cancer, birth defect. Obviously, the birth defect folks, they're coming to us later on in life, like they've aged out of Scottish Rite or Shriners. But our program manager today, or just yesterday, said, I am just really distraught today because we got 4 applications in on Monday,
Okay.
4 kids
Mm,
under 28,
mm,
all in one day. That's a big deal for us.
that's
So
huge. Yeah.
motorcycle, some other
Mm.
trauma, disease process, and then someone that wasn't even 20 years old. So
Yeah, I was reading on your website earlier that 500 people a day lose a limb.
yes,
Is that correct?
yes, yes, it's
Wow.
crazy. Diabetes is rampant in the United States, really worldwide. Vascular issues, heart disease is the number one killer. And so the heart disease issues, the comorbidities that come with that, vascular diseases, really lend itself to someone needing an amputation. So,
So you mentioned there's two different channels, and I'm sure there's probably more, but you guys fund or you provide the prosthetic or prosthetic parts. Is that right?
yes. So
How do
if
you
someone,
differentiate and know, are you providing money or are you providing a material?
well, people contact us and say, I lost my leg in a car accident, and there's no insurance coverage, and I need a leg. Literally, a friend of mine that I've known for over 25 years, who's an amputee, I knew him before he lost his leg, uh, came up to Oklahoma City for a meeting and came by and said, "Hey, I need a foot shell. Can I swing by and get one?" I said, "Absolutely." So people with insurance can reach out to us and say, "I tore my liner or my sleeve, or I broke the foot and the foot's no longer covered under warranty," and we'll give it to them. So everything we have is free.
Okay. And how do you receive all of the materials? I'm thinking primarily the actual prosthetic parts. How do you receive those? Are you receive them from grants from the manufacturers, or do you purchase most of them?
We don't purchase really anything. So, and this is a really impactful part of what we do as well. So, your loved one gets a prosthesis, and then unfortunately they pass away. Well, the prosthetic parts, the foot, the pylon, the pyramids, the adapters, the prosthetic knee, all of those things are really reusable for a long, long period of time. They're as strong as a hammer. So you could pass on a hammer forever. And so people donate those parts and components to us. We disassemble everything, make sure everything is good. And then when we fund a patient, we ship the parts to the prosthetic facility. They make or fabricate the prosthetic socket, and then they use the parts and components that we have given them.
Wow. Okay. And so, and you would do that to that part of the program is to not just to U.S. citizens or people here
Right,
on permanent cards, but to anyone
right.
who has a need. Do you have the materials and supplies? Do you do much overseas, or is it primarily most in the United States?
Most of the single patient is in the US.
Yeah.
More often than not, someone in the US says, "I'm going to Ghana, I'm going to
Hmm.
Costa Rica," and there are 5 patients or 10 patients, and they get
Okay.
us a list of stuff and we
And
ship
you're
them
able to
out.
help them get all the stuff they need for that trip.
Right. Shay, let me grab something and show you this right here.
I'd love to see
So
it.
the impact of this is a microprocessor knee. It's a computerized knee. It has all sorts of mechanisms in this to help with different stride length, different
Okay.
cadence, different speed. It has stumble recovery.
Huh.
This is about a $40,000 knee.
Yeah.
So the people that donated this literally drove 2 hours to Oklahoma City last Friday because this gentleman's wife passed away from cancer, and he knew the impact. He knew how big it was. He didn't want to just put it in a box and ship it. He wanted to come down and meet us and, see the smile on our face. And we all got emotional because, this is incredibly important to these people. And so we're going to provide life-changing mobility to someone else because of Carla. That was her name that passed away. Yeah.
To honor, what a way to honor her even on this conversation, but for her
Right.
husband to say, this is what we're doing with this. I don't
Right.
want money, I don't want to sell it. I want to
Yeah.
give it to somebody who can use it for years and years to come. How
Yes.
neat. That's great. So, Randy, you have a background in physical therapy.
Yes.
You know how the body works. You know how
Right.
prosthetics work. Did you
Right.
also one day realize, man, I am now leading a nonprofit business? Like you have revenue, you have expenses. How has the transition been for you getting into running this organization, not just caring for people and making sure their bodies are getting back to normal?
Well, the biggest uh, adaptation for me is running a nonprofit. I've sort of been a capitalist, if you will, my whole life. I owned and ran a couple of physical therapy clinics. Then I had a geriatric rehab company for many years. And so I was used to that component. I wasn't used to asking people for grant money and asking people for donations and understanding having a board that oversees a budget and all of the nuances of the nonprofit world. That was something that, and really I'm still sort of learning that as we go, but it's definitely a different world. and but I'm really, really grateful to be in it.
Yeah, it is a unique world. The vocabulary, the vernacular, the ways you,
Right,
even like a profit and loss statement is called a statement of activity, and a balance
right,
sheet is called a statement of financial position. There's just differences in the nonprofit world, particularly in the sense that you have to raise funds. How has
right,
fundraising been for you? It sounds like in your physical therapy world and other business ventures, you probably earned income, earned
right.
revenue, and now you're having to go out and solicit those funds. How has that transition been for you?
Well, when you talk about a blessing, Limbs for Life has been blessed beyond belief. So when I was here as a board member, we were doing a gala event in Texas and a golf tournament. And now I've brought a pickleball tournament to the mix. And so we were like everybody else, right? Will you donate money? We need to pay overhead. We need to pay expenses. We need to fund programs, the whole bit. And in again, this is just unbelievable to this day. In 2016, the foundation got a phone call that said a gentleman passed away in California. He left you in his estate. Fast forward a couple of phone calls and letters. They said, well, how much money are we talking? And they said, oh, it's quite a bit of money. And they said, well, like what? And they said, oh, it's going to be $1 million. So I wasn't even involved in the foundation then. When it came to fruition, it was more than 1 million. So it was several million. And so we are now in a really blessed, unique position that every dollar is donated goes directly to programming. So it doesn't go to the overhead. It doesn't go to advertising. It doesn't go to marketing. It doesn't go to anything.
Yeah,
So,
he goes straight to paying for the programs to get the
right. So
prosthetics to
the
people in need. Yeah,
That's right. So we have this sort of quasi annuity set up with those investments now. And so that pays the overhead and the expenses. And we're in a brand new space. We were right next door where we're at now. They went out of business and the medical supply place down the road needed more space. So the medical supply place and the landlord built out this beautiful space for us at no cost. So I'm
cool.
just like, we got a beautiful
There's
space and we've got a
blessings
lot of
lining up.
success. A lot of success.
That's great. You know, the story you just told me is a unique story in the nonprofit space. So if you're watching this podcast, not many executive directors get a phone call from someone they don't know, or even before you got there, that says, "Hey, I'm going
Right.
to give a significant amount of money that's going to change the future of your organization." Even when you receive grants, frequently grants are not fully fulfilled. So the state gives you a grant, or a foundation gives you a grant, and then something changes, and this
Right.
can be a 5-year grant. It only goes for 2 years. So there's a lot of contingencies, or there's a lot of strings attached to a lot of funding. It is a unique blessing to get that phone call that your organization got, Randy. But that was a game changer for you guys.
Yes, yes. When I heard about it, I wasn't on the board then, but when I
Yeah,
heard about it, I was super successful or super excited for the
yeah.
success of the foundation. So,
So I always like to hear a little bit of the operations side of things, and then also I want to talk some more about stories as we wrap up in a little bit. But tell me about the
okay.
operations. You're running an organization. You have systems and structures and processes in place. What are some of the systems for other nonprofit leaders that are watching this podcast? What do you know? What donor management system, or like if you have a database you use? Do you know what system you use there?
I do. And let me just take a small step back and say the day I got here, I virtually knew zero about the nonprofit world. When I got here and they started talking about programs and programming, I'm like, what's programs, right? So that's how green I was to the space. So fast forward, we switched our donor management platform about a year ago, and we use a company called Bloomerang, which I think is
It's a great system. We
it's
love using
great for
Boomerang.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great for us, and it's sort of at the end of the day, you got to pick one and make it work, and it's worked well for us.
Yeah, I kind of say it's kind of, I mean, if you buy a car, you're going to buy a Ford or a Chevy or a
That's
Toyota or a
exactly right.
Honda. They all have strengths. They all have some weaknesses. You just kind of got to
Right.
figure out the one that works best for you. There's
That's
some that,
exactly
you know,
right.
if there's certain car brands. I drive a Jeep Wrangler. I don't recommend a Jeep Wrangler to anybody. If you get a Jeep, you got to get a mechanic at the same time because those two
That's
go together very
right.
well. My Jeep's in the shop right now. But you know, there's things you know about systems, and going in with your eyes wide open. Bloomerang is a great system. It works. We've launched it dozens and dozens of times for organizations. It's a good system. Um,
Right.
so on the marketing side of things, are you guys where are you finding the most success in marketing? Are you really saying in fundraising? Are you finding the most success in fundraising from direct one-on-one conversations? From
Absolutely.
okay, tell me more about that.
I believe most things in life, I want everything in my life to be relational, to be emotional. I don't want anything to be transactional. Even if I go to Starbucks, I want that to be an emotional connection of some sort, right? And so I came into the office one day and said, "Hey, I got a check today for X amount of dollars." And someone that was working with us said, "Well, how do you get money out of people? How do you ask people for money?" And I said, "I don't. We are we are not in the business of asking people for money. If we were the Red Cross, the United Way, Make a Wish, those things that everybody knows about, that everybody can get behind emotionally, you can just say, "Hey, do you want to donate to Make a Wish?" Because those things are really inspirational for people. So, what I have to do is I have to meet someone where they are and really tell them about the mission and about the impact and the life-changing mobility that we're providing through a prosthesis. And everybody isn't going to resonate. Everybody's not going to grab a hold of that, and I certainly understand it. And so we just have these conversations, and then people say, "I want to help. How can I help? I want to do a golf team," whatever that might be. But I think the success lies in people seeing where their money, the relationship that we build, and the relationship that we build with the client or the patient is really incredible. I kid you not. I'm going to look at my phone here and to tell you this at 6:19 this morning. I got a text from a patient, a client that we funded about 4 months ago because again, it's got to be emotional. We've got to connect with these people. I give them my cell phone. She's sending me a picture at 6:19 in the morning.
You know, you're right.
Yeah,
I frequently say people don't make decisions based just on information. They make decisions based on the emotion. So if you're able to connect people to your story and the stories of those you're impacting, that goes so much further than a brilliant email campaign. Sure, email campaigns are good.
right,
You need to do those.
right,
You're going to need to tell stories to people at scale. But maybe those 20 coffee meetings you had over the last 3 or 4 months, that may be 80% of your budget right there. The
right.
right conversations at the right time with the right people. That's great. I'm a firm believer in relationships and stories, and connecting people to your story goes way further than a brilliant fundraising campaign.
Right.
So tell me about some stories of success, some people that you know of, and just share whatever information you're able to share. Don't break confidentiality,
Sure.
obviously, but share a couple
No.
of stories of success of people that had a need and where Limbs for Life was able to come in and solve the problem that was ahead of them and change their life going forward.
Well, as you can imagine, there are hundreds, if not thousands, but I'll just grab a couple that come to mind. Richie Horvat. Richie Horvat was 20 years old, second day on the job delivering auto parts, ran out of gas on I-35 outside of Fort Worth, Texas. He called his father, said, "I'm out of gas. Will you help me bring me some gas?" His dad brought gas while they were putting it in the car. A distracted driver hit them and killed his father. And Richie lost his leg above the knee. So, um, Richie's fiance at that time reached out to me on Facebook, sent a message on Facebook, and said, or didn't say anything, sent a news article that it was on ABC News in Dallas, And I responded back right away, "Do you know these people?" And she said, "I'm the woman in the story. I'm his fiance." And so I said, "We can absolutely help him." Um, I have a picture of me and Richie in my office now. He's now married. He's now on his second leg. He's been to Oklahoma City three
How
times to
neat.
visit. He's been to my home. I mean,
So how long from when
again,
he
I
had his
tell
accident were you able to get involved and help him get that leg?
immediately, meaning we got involved immediately with this is what you need to do. You need to start stretching. You need to make sure you're wearing a shrinker. You need to start looking at things. His wife now called and said, "I'm looking at a stair lift because we live on the second floor." I said, "You don't need that. He's 20 years old. He won't need that." So all of the things preparing for his leg.
Wow, how neat. So you're able to not just say, here's a device, good luck, but you're able to walk the whole journey with them. Here's
Oh,
what you need to
right,
start thinking. Here's where your mind needs to be, where your heart needs to be, what you need to be
right,
planning for, what it's going to feel like and look like.
right.
That's awesome. So tell me
Yeah, I
one more
mean,
story. What's one more story of
okay.
impact and success that you remember?
Dylan Riley. Dylan Riley's a 30-year-old kid here in Oklahoma City, was out playing frisbee golf with his friends, ran to get a frisbee and tripped over the curb and cut his knee. Didn't think much about it, went home, cleaned it up, get on with his life. About 2 weeks later, he started feeling bad. It got worse and worse and worse. He said, "I laid down, I couldn't get up. I told my roommate, I think I need to go to the hospital." He went to the hospital. He was septic from a streptococcal bacteria that had gotten in the wound on his knee. He went septic. He lost both legs below the knee and part of both hands. And when one of the prosthetic clinics locally called me, they said, "Randy, we got the perfect candidate for you. You're going to love this guy." So 2 months after he got hurt, uh, he had an appointment at the prosthetic facility, and I go over there. His mother's there, he's there. We start talking, and they had told him, "Randy's coming by to meet you." And that was really the reason why I went by there. I was so moved by him and by his mom. I said, "Your worries are, a lot less today. We're going to fund your prosthetics." And he started crying. His mom started crying. The prosthetist started crying, and then I teared up. And so, it, as you can imagine, it is incredibly emotional for us. And the life changing events that happen to these kids, whether they're 20 or 30 or people that are in their 50s or 60s, we know how life changing it is. And sort of the cure, if you will, has been found, and that's a prosthetic device.
What you guys are doing is making a difference. So, for anyone that is watching this, if you're in the Oklahoma City area or anywhere in the country or in the world,
That's right.
and you know of a person in need, know that Limbs for Life Foundation is here to help, is on your team, and wants to be involved in that conversation. And if you happen to have a few $1 million or anything that you want to donate to Limbs for Life, out in the show notes of this podcast, you can find a link to their website, also a link to the Accordis website. We're a back office for nonprofit organization. So anybody who's watching this, if you run an organization or on the board of an organization that says, man, we just need some more strength in the office, then we can do marketing, accounting, database, anything you need in the back office. We're here to help you. Randy, it's been a joy to talk with you today.
You as
And
well,
what you're
Shae.
doing at the Limbs for Life Foundation matters. Thanks for carrying that banner forward and helping all the people you guys help and serve. And I hope you have a great day and blessings. We'll talk sometime soon. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Uh huh.